It's so far to walk upstairs and get
Well,
it.
your fucking special Google device won't
I was going to say
deliver
that's
it.
one thing. You
No,
actually
I need to get on Mr. Kim's level if I wanted to.
or get a refrigerator in that room you're in. That would be a
Yeah,
good
then
idea.
you'll just never have to leave.
I'll just never have to. All right. Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. It's episode 100, which means nothing to any of us except for Joel. So, Joel, why don't you tell us why this is a big deal for you? It's a big moment.
I don't know. I think it's cool. I mean, it's the 100th episode. You have to do something special, right? All right. Well, no. Okay. Well, as you can tell, Ben's really enthusiastic about this. I thought for something different, it would be fun for us each to come up with the top 3 things we wish we knew when we started shooting.
I mean, I think Matt's idea was the top 3 dumbest pieces of advice.
I wanted, the top 3 things that you wish you'd never heard.
We could do that
Or
too.
worst advice.
Matt's would be more amusing, and I was hoping mine would be helpful and educational. Matt's might be more fun, though.
The podcast called After Dark, so we can cuss on it. Come on.
I feel like you've been cussing on this podcast long before it was called After Dark, Matt.
Yes, I 100%
that's
agree with that.
Okay. So 100 episodes of podcasting mediocrity. Aren't we so happy? But we're gonna go round robin. Okay, Joel. So you do one, I do one, Kim does one, Matt does one, and back around until we've talked about all of the things that we wish we knew when we started, so we can give helpful advice to people.
Because that's what you're all about.
That's what we're all about. Helpful advice, 100%. So, Mr. Joel, seeing as this is your brainchild, why don't you get us started?
Well, this applies to people, I guess, that take. I would say, I speak for Ben. Go to Ben's classes or classes I do. There are no top secret advanced techniques. It is just practicing and mastering the fundamentals. And when I doing a class, and it's like, hey, it's just about gripping the gun properly and press the trigger straight and move the gun, transition it precisely from spot to spot. It's like, yeah, that's all well and good, but like, where do I get to the fast shooting? I want to do something like advanced. It's like, no.
Skills.
Yeah, like no, you don't understand. Like that's what makes me better. It's just being able to do those things better than you can. It's not a top secret. It's not about just shooting on the move or something like that. So if you want to be scary good, just be really, really good at the core skills of shooting.
All right.
What we're gonna say.
No, so when you started, you thought that might not be the case?
Yeah, man, there's got to be something like just holding the gun and just shooting
secret
the targets.
sauce, dude.
There's got to be
sauce
something.
that no one's saying.
Secret sauce.
Like I thought maybe it's in shooting on the move. That's where you're going to pick up a lot of time, just, sprinting by targets and blasting them, or there's got to be something special. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll do the next one. Another helpful piece of advice just for you, Joel. All right. So one conversation I hear a lot is focused around how many rounds people shoot a year or whatever. And I think when I was newer, especially, I got really wrapped around the axle like, hey, how many rounds am I shooting? So like top guys are shooting, like you don't really know, right? You can read stuff on the internet about how much ammo certain people are shooting, and maybe it's bullshit, maybe it's not. It's kind of hard to tell. But there seems to be a lot of focus on it. And I know I was kind of thinking about, like when I started, hey, I want to get really good. How much do I have to shoot? How much training do I need to do? Like, what do I need to put in to get out what I want? And I think my thinking's really changed on this. I wish I thought this way sooner. Instead of worrying about how many live fire pieces of ammunition to shoot in a year, I just think of training as training, right? So I'm shooting ammo, I'm doing dry fire. I mean, it's all just kind of training to me. If I'm at home and not at a shooting range, then I'm going to do dry fire. If I have time to go to the range and do live fire. I don't worry too much about how much ammo I'm shooting. It's not really about that. It's that I'm putting in effort consistently over time to get better at shooting.
Yeah. Well, what I had on my list, I think it's kind of saying what you're saying in a different way, is quality is way more important than quantity. So shooting 1,000 rounds.
Joel, you're revealing more items on your list. You did your one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say all my worst ones here at the end. It's gonna be horrible.
What are you doing?
That's what you just said in a different way, you dummy.
Yeah, but you can double it up.
Yeah, you double it up later, Joel.
All right, I'll say the same things Ben said in a minute and make it sound like so original.
Yes, exactly. Fine. All right, Mr. Kim.
Okay.
What do you got? What's something you wish you knew?
So I wish I knew about the gear that's necessary, like tuning your gun or what kind of gun you use, how to reload if you do reload, those kind of gear stuff. I wish I had more research before I actually made purchases. So, for example, my very first USPSA match, someone told me I should just go on and watch people without really shooting it, but obviously I didn't listen. So I watched a bunch of YouTube videos back then in 2014. There weren't that many like right now, and everybody was shooting 2011, but it looks to me it was a 1911. So that's the race gun. So I researched what's the nice 1911. So I bought Springfield TRP. Spent way more money than I think it's value in my opinion, and it came with a paddle holster and a V-shaped magazine. So I had 2 V-shaped magazine pouches, and have one magazine bullet out, one magazine bullet backwards, like a perfect V shape. I bought a factory 45 ammo, and even bought a 10-round extended magazine because what I know, I thought that was an extended like open gun, 170 millimeter, something like that. So I brought 10-round magazine, and I asked somebody, hey, I'm shooting 1911, which division do I need to shoot? And he was like, oh, go to single stack. But I was shooting illegal magazine, shooting single stack too. So that, thinking about it, is pretty hilarious. Not really knowing what kind of gear is for the competition. So I would say also reloading, when I first got into reloading, there was like squib rounds and not enough crimp, the bullets separating.
Oh no.
Kaboom. Double charge, all those kind of stuff. And then as I realized, I got to do some research on it and actually study and ask people around and then make purchases. So I lost some money that way, I would say. So make sure people do research and go to the range, ask people, hey, can I try your gun kind of thing, and then make purchases, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. I didn't even know this. You started in single stack. Amazing.
Yeah, very first match, single stack. First 2 matches.
When did you realize that you'd made an enormous
and discern from that?
So local GM finally stopped me on the second match with single stack. He was like, hey, you're shooting 200 plus power factor. You have to stop that. He became my mentor later, Young Lee.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I suspected that was who.
I did too. I knew he's from your area.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Good thing he stepped up. Yeah, he'd be. Oh boy, that factory stuff is pretty exciting.
Sporty.
Yeah. Proper calibration is not a problem with it.
So can I modify mine to something that I should have actually done, but
do anything you want, Matt.
Look, Joel's making the rules.
No, there's no rules.
Joel's
for Matt.
already said his 3, so he's done, right?
Joel's done.
No, I wish I would have listened to the advice of doing the dry fire right when I started, instead of just this year. I know, Ben. I wish I would have listened to you.
Oh, you're gonna. Why did you even have to say that?
Because it's been a dramatic change.
You could have said like, listen to me. You could have said, listen to Kim. You had to say, listen to Ben.
I've been beating on him for about a decade to get it to start dry fire.
Yeah, pretty much a decade. Yeah, maybe 11 years.
Tell us more, Matt. Why do you wish you started dry firing sooner?
So consistent, like stuff over time breeds great improvement, right?
Yes.
And anything, right?
Yes.
So consistently holding the gun, drawing the gun, pulling the trigger has had great improvement on where I am at compared to before.
Fantastic.
So like listen to the people that are giving you advice that know what they're talking about.
Well, hey, if you want to get better, dry fire is a pretty good way to do it. If you don't want to get better, don't dry fire.
It doesn't take that much time either.
Yeah.
No, really. How much? So that's an interesting question. How much are you putting in terms of time?
So I actually set a timer on what I'm doing. So I've heard from other podcasts to set a timer, and I actually like that. So I do 3 minutes at a time, and I do a minimum of 5 different things. So 15 minutes of actual doing it, but it usually takes about half an hour.
Yeah.
Which
But
is
it's like
it's not
3
that
minutes of-
bad. And sometimes I've done it where I go for an hour and a half because like every 3 minutes is not that bad.
Matt, were you surprised how much you can get done in 3 minutes?
Oh, dude, I can't believe how tired I got just doing a hands wrist below belt draw for 3 minutes.
Your
It's
hands
like
get
you can't
Yeah.
fucking imagine how tired you get or how many draws you get in 3 minutes.
and how smoked your hands get from
It's
gripping the
fucking
gun
crazy.
hard. Yeah.
Probably do 30 draws, 40 draws.
No, I would say at least 50.
Oh man.
You're just
Yeah.
drawing to a sight picture is all. It's nothing
Oh, well, are you
crazy.
using a timer for that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, see, Matt, I'm really happy that you're on the train.
Just get ready. 2021, here I come.
Oh boy.
Right. So what do we do? We're going back to Joel. Joel already shot his wad, didn't he?
No,
I've
it's
got
Joel's turn.
more clown.
Of course, he has a whole list of them.
Yeah, of course he does. Son of a bitch.
Maybe even more important than my first one was how to practice. Probably my first 10 years or so, my tour in B class, I'd say I went to the range a lot and I would shoot, but I wasn't actually practicing. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to measure. I didn't know how to look for trends. So I'd go and bang off. Let's say I probably shot 500 rounds a week easily for quite a while. But I mean, I was just shooting the target. So I'd grip the gun and I'd shoot the target and the sights come back down and I'd shoot it again. But I really didn't know how to judge what was happening. I wish looking for trends in aggregate scoring, like those two specific things, would have been very helpful if I would have, I don't know, I found somebody that knew what was going on or paid more attention or dawned on me, whatever. But I was missing
So
the
what
boat
was
for a long time.
what was your normal practice style before you figured out how to diagnose things?
I would just set up some targets. Maybe I'd set up, 6 reload 6. That looks like a good one. And then I'll just do some 6 reload 6 for a while. And then maybe I'd shoot it, once or twice, patch the targets, do it once or twice, patch the targets.
Did you have a plan though when you went out?
No, I didn't. I didn't have any drills. So I would just set up some targets and shoot them a little bit. And when I'd get done, I'd go home. That was basically it. So I didn't have a good way of measuring what I was doing. I didn't have a good plan. I wasn't looking for trends. I wasn't scoring an aggregate. I just basically taught myself to be super consistent. So I'd never miss the targets, but I wasn't getting any better either.
Yeah. This is similar to one that I'm going to talk about, Joel.
Oh, you're stealing his.
I'm stealing his?
No, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, what I have down is diagnosing your shooting is key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
please explain.
All right. So I think when you start shooting, it's kind of like the relationship between what you're doing with the gun and where the bullets end up. It's a very fuzzy relationship. You know what I mean? It's like aiming the gun. It's like, yeah, I'm pointing the gun at this spot, and then you're shooting, and it's like, I'm not hitting that spot. I'm hitting off to the left of that spot or low from that spot. Not exactly where I want the shots to go, and it's difficult to kind of figure out why. And then the more elements you add in, so when you're running around and drawing and reloading and shooting while you're moving and all this different shit, it's really difficult to figure out why the things that are happening are happening. Mm-hmm. And when I stopped focusing so much on results, so like when I started, I trained by myself, so I would have standards. So I know, or at least I think I know, what certain drills should be done in and what this should look like. So I started just trying to produce the result on those exercises, mm-hmm. and didn't really understand how to diagnose what was going on. And had I done things in the reverse order, where it's like learn what's happening and understand that stuff, and then start to apply those tools to different situations, it would have been a lot better, a lot better. Instead, I was just like, hey, what's a good build drill to start with? 2 seconds. And it's like, all right, figure it out, idiot. 2 second build drill. what the, El Presidente or
Yeah.
plate, whatever. Just go do the drills, go do the stuff, and make the result happen. Which, I mean, I did that, but it was really hard. It would have been easier to understand what's happening first instead of kind of reverse engineering it.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yes.
I
All right,
like it.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. So one thing I wish I knew earlier is nutrition. It took me a long time to figure out what's the good nutrition for me for shooting competitions. So lasting hours at the range, and also just general life, like daily food, and after working out kind of thing, all sorts of stuff. So there was a time where I felt like my consistency in shooting. So like I would go to matches, and each stage I felt like I was executing very consistently. However, the very first stage and the very last stage was clearly very different physically. So I didn't know how much is a good amount of caffeine for me, like in the morning. So I experienced first probably 2-3 years drinking too much caffeine in the morning, and then my heart is just bumping way too fast for like doing walkthrough and then about to shoot the first stage.
I remember the one time you're like, I haven't drank caffeine for 4 months. I need some caffeine in the middle of IPSC Nationals or something.
Oh no.
So I
Was
went
that
radical
true?
on that one.
Yes, it's 100% true.
Yes.
You didn't have caffeine for 4 months?
More than 4 months.
How did you accomplish that?
More than 6 months. I mean,
Yeah,
for
but he
a
did
year.
it in the middle of a match.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong, but like, what the hell?
So I was being a little bit radical in terms of trying, like, rather than trying less caffeine, I would just cut it off totally. And then I tried that, and then now I'm drinking back, but in a moderate amount. I experimented, and I cannot have more than like a 16-ounce cup in the morning kind of thing. And then another thing is about like sixth stage or after about 5 hours at the range, my vision will shut down. Everything just go blurry, and my energy level is rocketing down. So I used to drink like Coca-Cola or any high sugar content, which gave me that big crash. So I tried different things. I tried even keto diet, which it didn't really work for my Asian body, just for me specifically. And now I'm doing plant-based diet.
What do you mean What do you mean it
Whoa.
didn't work? It was just really uncomfortable.
I had skin issues.
Hold on. You
Yeah.
said plant-based diet, so no meat?
Yes, but it's not radical plant-based diet. So I grew up kind of like plant-based diet anyways. I grew up eating rice all the time, a lot of veggies, maybe once a week, some meat here and there. So I'm just basically going back to the diet I grew up with. So that really works well for me. Like energy level is pretty good. I'm not, when I did keto, I had great energy level, but I had some skin issues, rash and stuff. So I just stopped it. So finding my proper nutrition that will last, how many hours at the match? Like 10 hours sometimes if it's a one-day match. Now I have found the diet, it works for me, and keeping the energy, and also picking the right good energy source, not choosing sugar, obviously, was a big change, very big change. And like taking omega-3 and multivitamins kind of thing.
Do you have any problem finding that stuff when you're like at a match or traveling?
Keto kind of thing, yes, depends on the country. It may be different, but now I changed my diet to the food that I can find pretty much on demand.
So you've tailored the diet to what you can buy, you can find wherever you're at.
You can kind of say that.
Okay.
Yes. But like I always travel with vitamin pills and omega-3 kind of thing. In coffee, you can pretty much find anywhere.
Yep.
I like it.
My turn.
All right.
Matt, you're up.
So I've been told this before, but I didn't ever actually start doing it till last year, is writing stuff down. So not
Really?
just like writing everything down, it's like writing how the practices went or what I was doing or tracking stuff. I'd never even did that till last year. And I had started like halfway through the year, and I've been writing everything down this year also, including like all the dry fire stuff, like exactly what I'm doing. and tracking all that. So,
okay, I have questions. Is
Okay.
it more helpful for you to write it down and like processing what's happened, or is it more helpful to go back and reread it, thinking, oh yeah, I learned this and I need to maybe revisit that?
so tracking after the fact, I'll go back and look at it and just see kind of what I was doing at the start to what I'm doing now, but also writing down what I see like in the middle of a match, like, oh, I had this issue, I need to like figure a solution out for this issue or figure out what's causing this so I can go back and work on it. And that's been a big thing. So like now I can take it from the match we just shot, go back and work on it right away, like the next day or night of, you know.
I usually just pick whatever skill I have nightmares about, and that's the one that I
I don't
train
have
on the next day.
nightmares.
No, I'm joking.
And this is the first year I've been keeping track of how many actual rounds I shoot. Not
What have
trying to
you
hit a
been-
specific number, but
Yeah.
just writing down exactly how many I shoot.
Is that a curiosity thing or what?
It's a pure curiosity thing. I'm not saying, well, now I'm behind 10,000 rounds. I got to step it up.
Yeah.
Just a pure curiosity. It's just been a wild guess before now.
I have a log, ammo. I have an ammo area, and there's a sheet of paper. Whenever I take ammo out, I just write down the date and the number, just to track.
I'm just writing it down when I get done with practice or match, just in an Excel sheet.
I keep track of how many boxes of bullets I order. So I'm like, oh, I ordered 40,000 bullets and they're gone. When did I order them? And that's that. So kind of same thing.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. What do you got, Joel?
It won't happen overnight, and don't be discouraged if improvements come slowly. Because I can think of more than one time where I know what needs to happen. Intellectually, I understand exactly what's happening and exactly what I want to happen. And so I work on that in dry training. I go to the range. I've been working on it in dry training. So therefore, it should be happening the way I think it should. And sometimes, that's not the case. And I don't have a temper like I'm going to get, angry and start throwing things or screaming. But internally, I am, like, at times, it can either be a mix of, disappointed where, man, I really thought I was training hard. I really thought I'd be better than this. Or internally, I can think of practice where I was internally just irate, where no one around me can really tell, but I'm just beating myself up about it. And even one time, I remember practicing with a friend. He was like, dude, you are crushing that. I'm like, well, not really. It should be a lot better. And this is what I wanted. And there's kind of like experiences like that of putting it into perspective where I'm really doing well. The result is quite good. Maybe it's not what I want it to be, but it's getting better. And I think I should have done a better job at realizing that instead of just kind of an all or nothing at times, if that makes sense.
So you kind of had an exit from the sport for a few years and came back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that due in part to kind of like results not coming quickly enough, or?
It was actually lack of direction. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to practice. I didn't know how to get better. And so I was like, well, whatever. I'll just do something else. I'll go mess around with rifles because I understand that if I want to shoot a small group, then I, need to tweak with equipment or whatever. And I have a clear goal. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to do one, Joel.
Tell me.
Your emotions lie to you.
Oh, okay.
This is something I learned. I wish I'd learned it sooner, but the easiest example is like, let's say you're shooting and you feel slow, and then that messes with you. Usually that just means that you're aiming. It's in a match setting. It's like, hey, I'm aiming these shots and then shooting deliberately, but that you feel slow, right? Or whatever. I mean, you'll be feeling really anxious before you shoot a match when you've done all the prep work, and there's no real reason to feel anxious. That's just the way human emotions work, and kind of learning that my emotions are not very reliable indicators of anything was a helpful thing.
I like that very much. Let me give you an example and see if you'd agree. What if, let's say, asking for a friend, I feel really slow shooting. I don't feel fast at all. And then I look at it on a timer and I realize, hey, that was actually a pretty good result. That was a good score. And I compare that to other people. Then they'd be like, yeah, that's pretty fast. Like
Yes.
regardless of how you feel, the numbers show that is pretty fast.
Yeah, survey says, or ding, ding, ding. Yes, that was fast. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for people because you know, as you're doing anything, like kind of your feelings or what you're trying to achieve in any part of life, like your emotions really drive that. You're like, hey, this is what I want to do. You start doing it. You know, whatever you don't like how it's going, you can change things up. But with the objective scoring for shooting, like it cuts right through all that. You can understand what's happening. So yes, your emotions lie to you, and you usually shouldn't listen. All right, Mr.
Yes.
Kim.
Well done.
So
I like that.
I wish I knew about the recovery. Basically, maintaining your body maintenance. So after training, doing dry fire, or 30,000 reps of prone shooting.
Jeez.
What?
30,000 reps of prone shooting. Go stop
Are you
prone.
doing your PCC stuff now?
Oh God, that's
What
stupid.
we're talking about?
No, I'm just playing with that.
Okay.
PCCs. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't. This is my first sport in my life. Never played sport. Never. I went to the gym working out before the sport though when I was in the military, but I never really went physical therapist or any kind of recovery stuff. Stretch. It was the general idea that I had about the recovery, but it's not really recovery stretching. So now I do like foam rolling, massage guns, and sometimes the TENS machine. I actually have my physical therapist. I visit him, not right now because of the virus, but I would visit him actually once a week. I started doing that, and also I used to visit chiropractor back in the day when issues started coming up. But I see physical therapist works better for me because it's more muscular stuff, I think. But the issues that came up while doing dry fire or after like a year or two, it didn't happen right away. I guess I started developing knots and some tendinitis, stuff like that. So I had some pain going here and there, and also my posture was changing a little bit. I used to shoot really crouch forward or shroud forward. My shoulders slightly lifted, shoulders tucked forward, my neck coming slightly forward like a turtle. It's changed now, but before I visited the physical therapist, my posture was getting worse and worse. So that caused me back pain, neck pain. I would wake up one day and totally locked up sometimes, those kind of things. And I didn't know how to fix those. And now I go to physical therapist and they explain how I need to be doing the recovery stuff after, working out or after hardcore training kind of thing. So now I use pretty frequently the massage lacrosse ball and like rub it around, roll it around, and using massage gun kind of thing. So those really help me to not only reduce the pain level, but actually feel better with a better posture. Now I can actually have my shoulders back, and I didn't have mobility when I do like the angels thing test, having your elbow 90 degrees. I couldn't do that because I was always slouched forward. So it's just keeping my body healthy is something that I wish I knew. And actually do dry fire, and then every dry fire session I would do something recovery related.
Yeah.
So, so you had maybe like pain outside of training before, and now that you know how to treat those symptoms, you have less pain. Is that fair to say?
Yes. And if I stop, like stretch, or for example, long airplane ride, then my body kind of locks up. Then I use the lacrosse ball kind of thing to ease it up. But if I don't use it, the pain comes back, and I cannot sleep deep enough. I will wake up in the middle of the night because of the pain. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right, Matt, bring this thing home.
Ooh, I got the last one.
Yeah.
Well, the last positive one,
The last. Oh, are we going into the negative?
if you want.
So I don't know. So I'm gonna say one, and I'm gonna have to expand on it. But have fun. So I take this very competitively. I want to win when I go out there. So I think to have more fun at this, like this is like you run around shooting guns. I wish I would have done that a little bit beforehand. And I'm not saying I'm doing it perfectly now, like I'm just going out and having fun. I'm still trying to compete at a serious level and beat people, but you have to have fun sometimes. So if you have fun at, say, your Tuesday night local indoor match, just for fun, just to kind of hang out with, like, you don't have to go to the range and try to beat everybody there. Like, go there, have fun, try different stuff. That's the place to do it.
Okay, can I throw an example of
Yeah.
when I learned this lesson? So you know me, I'm pretty dedicated to training and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think maybe about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I was just like, when it was really raining, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just not going to go to the range today. So it would be a week where I'm planning on shooting 5 days that week because I'm at home training for 6 days. And I would always feel like an asshole when I'm shooting 6 days this week. It's raining. It's like, oh, well, I'm shooting 6 days this week. So going to the range, and it's like kind of miserable because it's raining all over me and it's not as productive, because stuff's getting wet, targets are folding, it's uncomfortable because of the rain, blah, 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 all this stuff. Like I go and I'm doing it. I go through the motions, but it's not really fun. It's not that helpful. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, why am I even doing this? And finally, a few years ago, I was just like, you know what? If it's raining, it's shitty. Like, I'm just not going to go practice. I'll just like dry fire. I'm just not going to go to the range because that's not going to be fun. I'll just cut out the not fun stuff. Is that about what you're talking about, Matt?
No, same thing. So, I mean, the rain is an easy thing to do. It's like 10 years ago, I was like, I got to go shoot in the rain because I got to know how to do it because it might happen at a match. But like, if there's rain or snow or cold, like January match happens, it's like, yeah, that's not going to be any fun at all.
Yeah, I skipped those.
I'm not going to do it.
Well, no, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys listening right now that shake their heads like, if it ain't raining, you ain't training, pussy. That's what they're thinking.
Been there,
like,
done that, know how to do it.
So not fun.
Can get through it if it happens, and it won't negatively affect me, but I don't need to go out and do it every time it happens to prove to myself that I could do it.
It's like, I know I can shoot in the rain. I understand
exactly, yeah. It's like, I know what precautions to take.
Fun, dude.
Yeah, you may save that ammo and learn more knowledge on the other session.
Yeah.
With a better rain. I mean, better weather.
100%,
yeah. No, I mean, I used to make myself miserable. It's like, I go shoot in the rain. And then my brat was like, all right, well, time to pick up all this brass. And it's like, now I got to do brass stuff. And I'm just like making more miserable work for myself when I just could just not do that. I could just skip that time. And that'll be more fun. That'll be better. Yeah. All right. How about we do one negative thing?
Okay.
One bad piece of advice.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yep.
All right. Joel, you have a bad piece of advice to give to people?
I do.
All right.
It's like the whole like slow is smooth is fast kind of crap where people are like, oh, it's more important to do it correctly. Like, that is totally retarded. Because if you want to be fast, then you need to
using
practice.
The R word. How dare you, sir?
Very sorry. Okay. If you want to be fast, train to be fast. I understand there's times to break things down and slow down and get your hits, so to speak, or to make sure you're doing a technique correctly, or maybe you want to change the way you're drawing or change the way you're loading the gun. That's fine. But I mean, I don't know. I think for a lot of people, the answer is go fast and figure it out. So going slow and being deliberate, from what I've seen, doesn't accomplish a whole lot. It just, I would say practice makes permanent more than practice makes perfect. So,
Yeah.
Uh-oh, we lost Matt.
No, I got a message from him. His laptop crashed. He'll be rejoining shortly.
I can't wait because I want to hear him hate on something.
You want to hear it? Well, I've got some bad advice for you, Joel.
Tell me.
The accuracy versus speed. That type of thinking, like slow down, get more hit or get better hits. Speed up, trade out some A's for C's or whatever to get better hit factor. Like placing accuracy against speed always, like most people think like just intuitively. Like it makes sense in their head. And I thought this way when I started a little bit.
Me too.
Yeah. If I go faster, then if I have a faster time, I'm necessarily going to have less points. You know what I mean? But maybe not saying it that way, but that's kind of the thinking. That is not productive. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, just because you're shooting faster doesn't mean you have to drop less points or drop more points. And as you look at people when they develop, they tend to get faster and get more accurate at the same time. It tends to they just get better with training. Accuracy versus speed it's not productive thinking, because it stops you from, well, like you're saying, Joel, it stops you from being able to really figure stuff out. So let's say you're training, you're doing some stuff, and the hits aren't what they should be, and then you're like, oh well, I should slow down. And you're like, oh fuck, like it doesn't really solve the problem. You just slow down.
Or how about, is it fair to say, as an example, somebody sees a stage, it's a high hit factor stage. That means hits are irrelevant. I'm just going to focus on speed. And so, like what you're saying, they squirt bullets everywhere. Or it's a low hit factor stage, and so I need to make sure I get these A's. And then you see them over aiming on everything.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's like it's not an absolute for one or the other.
Well, I just had for example, I just had in a class. Doesn't really matter what the exercise was, but got it's a guy shooting on the move. So he goes around a thing, shoots some targets while he's moving, and I could just tell, just watching him shoot the targets, they're close. So in his brain, he's like, I'm going to go fast on these because they're close. And he shot. He didn't shoot like terribly. It was just loose. So it was like he was just getting eaten up with a lot of C's. And correction was, hey, just stare at the spot you want to hit on the target. And in your heart, I want you to have a desire to get those A's. I'm not telling you to slow down. I'm telling you to try to get the A's. Like really try at the pace you're going. And he goes, he does the exercise a few more times, and just with the desire to shoot A's and a desire to look to a specific point on the target, his hits immediately improved and the time didn't change. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But just because in his brain, he's thinking, if I go fast, then it's just going to be looser, and he's shooting some C's on the fast targets. I'm doing the air quotes for the audio rip listeners. It's like, oh, okay. It just intuitively, like that made sense to him, and it didn't occur to him that you don't have to drop more points just because you're shooting faster. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Kim, give us
Mine's going to be connecting what you are saying. So basically, my advice is learn how to shoot without using the sights, but maintaining the accuracy. So there was a big aha moment back in 2017. So I shot World Shoot Nationals. I played pretty nicely. My hits were pretty good, but my times were nowhere near the winners. Maybe not nowhere near, but it was off. So Ben actually gave me advice that after Nationals, which was also after World Shoot 2, and then Ben told me, hey, you need to learn how to hose. Maybe you should try shooting 3-yard target. And when I heard that, I'm like, 3-yard target? Whoa, I've never done it in my life. Like 7 yards was like one of the closest target I would shoot at practice at that moment. Mm-hmm. So I went to the range and started shooting some 3-yard stuff. There's a great drill, bunny stacks. I shot that multiple different distances, especially close, like 3 yards to 7 yards, somewhere average range. And then when I shot it, first time I shot it, 3 yards, I didn't have to see the sight at all. Just as soon as the gun's up, I pull the trigger. So that was the fastest way. And then I tried the same way at 7 yards. So basically shooting the gun without looking at the sight, but as soon as the gun comes up, my trigger is programming to pull it at the same time. So gun is stopping is the exact time gun is firing, if that makes sense. There's no delay after the stop. Stop is firing at the same time. So when I shot that at 7 yards, hits were like all over. Like draw shot was like left low or right high, something like that. And like transition was slightly short a lot of the times, kind of thing. And then, okay, what if I can just develop to present the gun and transition target to target way more precisely without visually guiding? Or I shouldn't say visually guiding, or shooting visually, seeing and then shooting. I want to see the spot, bring the gun there precisely without really rechecking anything. I want to shoot it by physical programming. So I shot as soon as the gun stopped. It's just gun going right away. I started thinking about where the muzzle's pointing and when my grip is finishing. So when it's presenting in the draw, I want my grip completely done and my sight stably present rather than going around like this or not stable. So developing my preciseness in gun handling and target transition enabled me to shoot 7 yards without really seeing the sights, not even target focused, looking at the fiber, just as soon as it comes out, shooting right away. I call that confirmation 1 in confirmation drill.
Yeah.
So people try making your technique to be more precise rather than only relying on your visual confirmation. Look at the spot, gun's there, seeing the gun and then shooting it will give you most likely consistently accurate shots, yes. But in a closer distances, there's a visual response time on that, typically 15th of a second. So if you don't visually respond, but just program to shoot immediately as it's stopping, you'll save time on there, not responding visually.
I like it. Yeah, your confirmation drill is excellent. In fact, when we get done recording, I'm about to record a review on Training Group recommending somebody do confirmation. Yeah, it's very helpful.
Can I say, I like the term confirmation more than aiming.
Yes. Exactly. Well, it's an easy way to explain. Like this guy's, brings the gun to the target and you see a lot of aiming time before he's shooting. So it's like, hey, try out this drill, and you give them a very specific prescription for the ways to try it, and then you see what they get for hits, and they'll be surprised that they're, what they're able to get away with, I think, in most cases. But yeah, it's a really good drill. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, it's very ironic that Matt was pushing hard.
I know, I hate this. I wanted to hear who's going to hate on.
Not here, but he just hard reset his laptop. So I don't think he's going to be coming back. So this is perfect. So we get to talk about this, and Matt's not here for it. I love it.
Is Matt coming? I got one more. I'll just keep hating on stuff while we wait for Matt. Then is he coming?
Fine, hate on it.
Oh yes,
there he is.
That Matt
You're back, guy. Matt. We just talked about all this stuff that was hilarious.
I'm sure.
So anyway, now you're here. So why don't you
give us some bad advice? Perfect timing.
What am I doing?
You're going to give us your bad advice because we've already given all of ours.
Oh, some of the worst advice ever?
Yeah.
Shit.
What? It was your idea. We thought you had.
I know, but I didn't think we'd actually do it.
All right. Well, let me.
One piece of bad advice. Give one.
One piece of bad advice?
Yes.
Let me do one while you think about it, Matt.
Damn it.
I had the advice, like, if you just shoot a lot, you're gonna figure it out, and that was bad advice.
Yeah, that's bad.
Just
mine was shoot without using the sights.
Yeah. It's like, hey, if you take 1,000 rounds to the range, you're gonna figure that out. It's like, no, you are not gonna figure. Or the same thing with dry fire. Like, well, if you dry fire for 10 hours, you're bound to get good and to learn, how to do that correctly. It's like, no, you are definitely not. So just putting in time doesn't mean anything, or just shooting rounds doesn't mean anything. You have to fire them correctly and be analyzing what's going on. But the time or just putting in the resources does not mean anything at all.
This shit crashed again. This shit show's done.
Oh,
no. All right. Listeners, thank you for joining us for a very special 100th episode of Practical Shooting After Dark. We do appreciate you listening. If you have any questions you'd like the answer to, go to pstg.com, send me your question, and we will talk about it on a future episode. So thank you so much.